Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to have a look at a beer that was very kind of hyped actually when it was going to be released through the small partiers in Systembolaget. And this one is half Swedish and half American, and we're going to go back to one of my favourite Swedish breweries for this beer. So for this one, we're going to head up towards Gothenburg once again, Sweden's beer mecca, if you like, or Göteborg as you'd say in Swedish, and we're having a taste of another beer from Dugges Bryggeri, and this one is the Red Layers, a Berliner Weiss coming in at 6% ABV with a shitload of raspberries added to it basically, and this is a collaboration with Wakefield Brewing from over in Miami in Florida in America. So it should be a very, very nice beer. This one, I've heard some very good things about it. It sold out very, very quickly actually through the small partiers. I had to rush down to Hansa in Malmö to actually make sure I was able to get one of these. So yeah, it was supposed to be very good, this, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. This beer I think will be particularly exciting because Dugges, you know, one of the really well known sour beer producers here in Sweden, and Wakefield are a brewery that really have been building their reputation over in America for sour beers and for IPAs as well. So yeah, very, very much looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Dugges Bryggeri and my other ones involving Wakefield. I've not done a dedicated review to them yet, but hopefully that can change in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you, and another one for all the American beers. This beer will appear in both because it is half and half, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Dugges Bryggeri first off then. So Dugges Bryggeri, as I've mentioned to you before, are based in Landvetter on the outskirts of Gothenburg in Sweden, and the brewery was established back in 2005 in Mölndal by Mikael Engström Dugge, and since 2010 it's focused solely on the brewing of kind of top fermented beers, if you like. And due to the kind of Swedish craft beer boom that there was, they very, very quickly outgrew their original brewery, and so they moved up to Landvetter, closer to the airport. Mölndal, of course, is it's a little bit to the southeast-ish of Gothenburg, whereas Landvetter is a little bit more out to the kind of north-east-ish, if I'm remembering correctly, but they are very, very close to the airport. Their older brewery had a capacity of only 1,500 hectolitres of beer per year, but the new brewery started out with 8,000 hectolitres of beer per year, and they have scaled up considerably in terms of fermentation and brewing capacity since then. They've also bought a hell of a lot more barrels and things to age stuff and things like that. But as I say, this is a brewery that are particularly well known for sour beers. Some of their IPAs that they've produced recently are very, very good. The Crush double IPA is awesome. They've been adding some rice to the malt base in these, and it really seems to work out very, very well. Their sour beers, as I mentioned, are very good, and some of the imperial stouts that these guys produce are awesome as well. Omnipollo, incidentally, contract brew a number of their beers at Dugges Bryggeri, and this has helped Dugges Bryggeri get very good at brewing their stouts. Notably, I would say, the coffee stouts. They've got some awesome, awesome imperial coffee stouts there, and I do hope that those continue, even though Hunter and Sons in Bristol have gone out of business. I would say that Dugges Bryggeri are one of the best coffee stout producers in the world. So yeah, pretty much, if you like IPAs, if you like imperial stouts, you like sour beers, I think you are going to have a very good time if you manage to try some of the Dugges beers. And to be honest, pretty much anything that these guys put their mind to, they will pull it off very, very well. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about Dugges Bryggeri just now. One of the well-known Swedish craft breweries, and they have a very, very good reputation, quite rightly in my experience, and if you haven't tried any of their beers, you need to check them out. So check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on there. They are a very prolific brewery, and there's always new things coming out there. So anyway, on to the American side of things then. Back to Wakefield Brewing for my second review involving these guys. So as I've told you before, this brewery are based in the Wynwood district, which is a kind of artsy, sort of hipsterish district apparently in Miami in Florida. So the company is owned by John Wakefield, who started homebrewing back in 2005 2005. But apparently before this he'd studied for a master's degree in accounting and had also taken some culinary classes as well. He was very much into cooking and home brewing and different alcohols and different foods and things like that. But he continued to expand and explore further into the world of home brewing, and he won many awards at many different festivals and things like that in the process, and eventually decided to turn professional and open up his own brewery. This brewery was officially opened in January of 2015 using the crowd brewed format, which raised $55,000 for them to get the premises and get all the equipment and things like that. He was one of the first brewmasters to actually do this, which was quite an impressive feat, and at the moment the brewery is around 3,800 square feet. In real people measurements I believe that is around 1,000 square metres, do correct me on that if I'm wrong, and they do have a 15-barrel brew house there as well, with a second kettle for their sour beer programme, and in particular this brewery are really well known for their IPAs and pale ales and also for the sour beers as well, and they're getting a very good reputation. I've not seen any of their own beers over here in Europe at the moment apart from at festivals and things like that, but I have seen a number of collaborations involving them, so I'm sure within the next year or two we'll start to see some of these beers being exported over to Copenhagen and stuff like that. So that's definitely something that I look forward to seeing over the next little while. So if you get the chance to try some of the J Wakefield beers, have a go at them, and hopefully I can get a hold of some of them and do some dedicated J Wakefield reviews for you over the next little while. I know the beer scene in Florida really is kind of kicking off, because there's been a number of Florida breweries over here collaborating and stuff like this. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about J Wakefield. Again, if you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram, that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on there. And yeah, these guys again are a very prolific brewery, so that's a good way to go. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself then. So with this one, they're describing it on the bottle as a raspberry sour. Untappd had this listed as a Berliner Weiss, and it's 6% ABV, which, if I remember correctly, is a little bit high for a Berliner Weiss. I always remember Berliner Weisses being around 4.5-ish. So I'm not sure whether this one will be a Berliner Weiss or whether it will be just a kind of regular sour beer, but it says on the side here, layer upon layer upon layer, 3 different kinds of raspberries, puree, juice and powder, and a collaboration with J Wakefield, Florida, USA at that. This sour beer is berry, berry, berry heaven cake. So yeah, nicely presented beer. This one kind of similar, you know, the usual standard sort of artwork that you get from Dugges Bryggeri. There you can see their other little badge in the corner there, and there you can see the J Wakefield brewing symbol on the back there, which is quite nice. Plain bottle cap on this one, as you always get from Dugges Bryggeri, and it says that this one is best before the 30th of November 2020. But yeah, we're drinking it pretty fresh actually, so we'll see how we get on. But yeah, let's get it out and we will get into the glass then. A 6% raspberry sour ale. We can get rid of the brewery notes and get this beer out. You can see there was a little bit of smoke on the opening there, and we'll just see how we get on with this one. Yes, so look at this. This is pretty impressive, I have to say. So this one, you can see there was a very thin kind of foamy layer on this one, about a half finger of a frothy kind of, how do you say that, like candied pink. It's almost like strawberry milk powder, something like that. It's almost like a strawberry milkish powder coloured head on this one, but that's faded away to just be a very thin foamy layer. If I hold this one up to the light, it's almost like a cranberry juice red colour, this one, although it does have a good little bit of haze to it. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see this one isn't very transparent at all. You know, there's very little light coming through this one. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, in terms of a raspberry sour, and in terms of sour beers in general, they can be all sorts of different colours. I've seen blue ones, I've seen some green ones, you know, I've seen a whole variety of different colours when it comes to sour beers. So considering that this one is a raspberry red fruit sour beer, then I'm not surprised at the sort of pinkish colour of this one. So yeah, not too surprising in terms of its appearance. So let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this one. Yeah, that smells really nice. Now, one thing I'll say, as a Scot, you know, we really do kind of like our raspberries. I've always enjoyed raspberry cakes and raspberry sauce and all of these kind of things. In Scotland we have very, very good strawberries and raspberries and blackberries and all of this. Scotland is a very, very good producer of raspberries, of course in whiskey and craft beer these days and things like that as well, but the you know, the quality of the raspberries and things like that are very good, and I just love the smell of raspberries, and that just jumps out of this beer to no end. It's quite a juicy raspberry note for me. There is a good chunk of sharpness in there too, but to me the strawberries in this one are leaning towards the juicy side of things rather than being overly sharp and overly tart. So yeah, I love what they've managed to pull off with this one. The fruity aromas to this are just absolutely lovely. I could sit and smell this all day, but to be honest with you, the aroma isn't too complex. You know, sour beers I've found, it depends what if you add adjuncts and things like that, but to be honest, I've always found that sour beers are pretty straightforward in their aromas, and sour beers for me are all about how well you can balance the sourness with the malt base and the fruits if you add them as well. So for me, that's the thing I very much like about this particular style of beer. So it's got a lovely juicy raspberry quality to it. You can smell some nice white bready and kind of wheaty notes in there as well. I think there's a little touch of you know, there's a little touch of a biscuity sweetness in there as well, and there's also some kind of there's also a little touch of grassiness to this one as well. You can pick up a little bit of grassiness from the hops. So yeah, as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one. This one is pretty straightforward in terms of its aroma. Like I said, nice big juicy raspberries, a little bit of that sharp kind of tartness that you expect both from the raspberry and from the lactobacillus or Brettanomyces or whatever it is they're actually using in there. And you've also got a lovely kind of wheaty white bready note, a little bit of biscuit, and some nice kind of grassy notes too. But I'll tell you something, this beer smells absolutely beautiful. But knowing Dugges, and you know, obviously J. Wakefield have a very good reputation as well, I think this one will be a little bit special, so fingers crossed that it is. But let's get stuck into this one then. This one is the Red Layers, a 6% raspberry sour beer from Dugges Bryggeri in Landvetter, just outside of Gothenburg here in Sweden, and J. Wakefield Brewing, who are from Miami in Florida over in America. Let's get stuck into this one. Slanje, skål. Ooh. Yeah, that's really nice actually. This beer, I always find this with sour beers, the first sip of sour beers, it's always a nice experience, but it's not the most enjoyable part of the beer. For me, the sour beers are always about the aftertaste and the way the balance kind of comes out, and the way that this one kind of just moves its way into the aftertaste is very, very nice. Yeah, I really like this one. Again, this beer for me is quite straightforward in what it's going to do, and I've said this in a few reviews. You know, sometimes simplicity is the best method. You know, if you can get it right using a simple method, then why not? And I think that's kind of what they've done with this beer. Obviously, they've added the 3 raspberry supplements in different ways, but they've actually got it very, very well balanced. There's not too much to the flavour of this beer, if that makes sense. It's a big full flavour, but there's just not too much complexity to it. So let's just go through this then and kind of and just break it up. So in the middle of your palate, you've got, when you take this beer in, because really, to be honest, when we talk about sour beers, you should talk a little bit about the impact. This one does have a huge big tartness to it. It starts off with that almost, I always find it quite lemony tartness you get from it. It has a little bit of that, but then it fades away and you get the raspberries. That fades away very quickly, that almost puckering quality of the beer, and then the juiciness of the raspberries really comes out, and you can feel the middle of your palate just becoming smoother and smoother and smoother. Yeah, the middle of your palate just smooths out very nicely, and there's that lovely wheaty smoothness to the base, and you can feel it. It almost just sweetens up a little bit. It almost tastes like there's a little touch of a vanilla. If you go towards the front of the palate a little bit, this beer almost tastes as if there is just a little hint vanilla or something in there, which is quite interesting. But the malt base, as I say, is very, very simple. There's maybe a little tiny touch of a biscuity sweetness in the very, very centre of the palate, but mainly it's a nice smooth white bready wheaty quality, little touch of a biscuity sweetness, and also there is something that is just quite similar to a little vanilla quality or something like that. So yeah, the malt base in the middle is very simple, but it's just nicely smooth and well executed, I would say. In the back corners of the palate then, I would say there's a little tiny bit of an almost noble hoppy earthiness to this one. It has just a little hint of that, but as you come further forward it smooths out and you get just a nice light kind of floral aromatic quality to this beer. That comes out when you come further forward along the sides of the tongue. Then round the very front curve of the palate it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy, I would say. Yeah, the hops on this one are quite nice, and one of the things you always have to say with these sour beers as well is when you actually add fruit into the beer, what it does is it actually suppresses quite a bit of the green side of the hops. And you can feel those juicy raspberry components just around the edge of your tongue, just suppressing a little bit of the IBU in this one. But that said, the IBUs in most sour beers, unless it's a sour IPA of course, is quite, they usually are quite low in terms of their ABV content. But the way that the juicy raspberries come out around the edge of the tongue in this beer is very, very nice. So behind the front curve of the tongue, of course, you get that little oily bubble where some of the juicy fruity notes come out from the hops. I think there's a little touch of a kind of candied strawberry or something like that. The further you go into the aftertaste of this one, I'm feeling you're getting a little bit of a figgy or kind of candied strawberry-ish note out of this one, which is a nice kind of complexity to the beer. But as I say, this beer generally is very, very straightforward, and the juicy raspberry flavours do push back over the front of the tongue quite nicely as well. But this beer, it is, to be honest with it, it is very, very straightforward in what it's doing, but it pulls it off really quite well. Is it Berliner Weiss? I'm not quite sure. The wheat for me isn't quite as prominent. This beer really does lean towards the fruity juicy side of things when it comes to the sour beers, and it's got quite a sharp impact to it, which I would say as well. The wheatiness is there, but it's not the most prominent of things that I've come across actually. But I really like what they've pulled together with this beer. So big thumbs up both to J Wakefield and to Dugges Bryggeri for this one. I really like this, and being a Scot and loving all these kind of raspberry desserts and stuff that we have at home, I think they've done a nice job with the strawberries here. Swedish, not strawberries, the raspberries, yeah. Amateur mistake that. But yeah, I like this one, and this one to me, it does have a little bit of that kind of puckering quality to it. It's nice. This one is a little bit more sour, if you like, than some of the other ones that I've had from Dugges, and that's probably the lactobacillus or Brettanomyces that they're using in here, and probably also a little bit of the tartness from the raspberries as well, which is really, really nice. I'd love to see them do like a cloudberry sour or something like that. That would be a very, very interesting one to do. A Swedish berry sour, I think, would be a very interesting exercise. Lingonberries and cloudberries and stuff. That would be a really kind of interesting one, I think. So in terms of the mouthfeel then, this beer to me, it's a sort of mid-bodied sour. I always like to rate the sour beers on a slightly different scale compared to the regular beers, if you like. So to me this one's a little bit thicker in its mouthfeel. The carbonation's very smooth. It's got a very oily mouthfeel, this one. The tartness to this, as I say in the beginning, is a little bit kind of puckering. It does have quite a sharp impact to it, this beer. The malt base smooths out and becomes a little bit sweeter the further you go into it. It's got an almost kind of vanilla-y, almost like the yogurty kind of quality now that I think about it as well. But nice little bit of hoppiness in there, but it's quite minimal. I think you'll be lucky to get about 10 or 15 IBUs out of this beer at most. But lovely juicy fruity qualities and a sharp kind of tart sour impact. So again, the way to summarise this beer, I would say that it's one that's very, very kind of straight up. It doesn't do anything particularly surprising, but as I say, sometimes simplicity is the best. Is this the best sour beer I've had from Dugges? Probably not, actually. I would say, you know, my favourite sour beer that I've had from them will probably always be Mango Mango Mango. If there's one that can top that, I'm open-minded to it. But Mango 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 is the best sour beer I've had from Dugges at the moment by a little bit of a distance. This is a good beer. Will it be the best one I have from J. Wakefield? I don't know. I suspect not, because I've heard some very, very good things. But the fact is, they've put together a really nice beer. For me, this one hits the spot because I really like raspberries. And of course, different people like different fruits and things like that. I think a nice project for Dugges in the future would be to do a kind of proper Swedish sour with lingonberries and you know, cloudberries or something like this. But to me, this is a really, really nice beer. It hits the spot for me because I like raspberries, and it's quite a simple, straightforward one that just does what it aims to do pretty damn well. To be honest, you can't ask for more than that, and it sort of gets J. Wakefield's name out there a little bit more with one of the best Swedish breweries around at the moment. So yeah, interesting beer, this one, and I think it's been very cool to review this one for you. So let's leave it at that. This one's the Red Layers, a raspberry sour beer from Dugges Bryggeri in Gothenburg here in Sweden, and in collaboration with J. Wakefield, who are from Miami over in Florida. Really kind of nice sour beer, this one. I've enjoyed reviewing this, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on it as well. So until the next time, Slander Just Now, let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below, and let me know what your favourite beers are, both from Dugges and from J. Wakefield. And of course, if you do know any other sour beer breweries here in Sweden, I would be interested to hear those. So far, I only really know Bryggeriet, Temple Bryghus, Dugges Bryggeri, of course, Örebro Bryghus have done a couple, and there's also Jämerdalen Brewery up in the very north of Sweden as well. So if there are any others that I should check out, do let me know about that. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Red Layers from Dugges here in Sweden, and J. Wakefield from Florida over in America. Until the next time, Slander Just Now, and I'll catch you guys later. Skål.